speech here. And thanks for the organizer. Actually, I prepared a 1 hour speech. So anyway, I should shorten it maybe in 10 minutes. Yeah. Actually, currently, when we're talking about the COVID-19, but not just the COVID-19, we should see that even more seriously, the COVID-19 is accelerating the decoupling of the global value chain. So how we look at the potential issues, that's a difficult time actually. I'm Xiaobo, Professor of Innovation and Strategic Management from Zhejiang University. I'm the director of the National Institute for Innovation Management. And also, I used to be the dean of the management school here in Zhejiang University. And now I'm the dean of the social sciences, the faculty of social sciences of Zhejiang University. Actually, I did have a lot of relations with the UK. I used to be the honored as the Smith Chair Professor of the Leeds University Business School. And also we collaborating with Cambridge University for many, many years, over 20 years actually. Yeah, okay. So I will talk about the 3 main issues. The first one is the crisis of the decoupling of the global value chain. And the second, I will talk about the resilience in Made in China. And last, I will talk about the potential China-UK collaborations. Okay, now we are facing the crisis actually. After the more than 3 decades collaboration between especially China and the US. So we could see that. In this chart, we could see the growth of US manufacturing and the China manufacturing almost synchronized in the last 30 years, but now things changing. So during the COVID-19, we could see that the very deep drop of China, yeah, we could see the PMI indicate. And also we see the United States. Now China recovering very quickly, but the United States and the European are facing even more serious situations right now. Today's topic is about China and the UK, but anyway, I should say something about the China and the US, because in this world, people always see the next phase might be mainly the G2 confliction, or we say the friction of the G2, China and the US. And for other countries, actually, may be more difficult to choose which way to stand by. So that's the big question here. We should see that formerly China joined the global value chain in last 40 years, especially after China joined WTO 20 years ago, less than 20 years, almost 20 years. Yeah. During the last 18 years, when China joined WTO, Chinese economy developed even faster. And but recently, we could see that more challenges here, especially the US. We could see they launched a lot of policies to decoupling the value chain. So that's the big questions here. And we could see that even on the internet, United States government launched the campaign, so-called Clean Network. We all know that the world is entering the new era of the network. Yeah, but the United States tried to clean the network. What's the clean of network? There are 5 new jobs. So we could see that the telecommunication operators. So we see Huawei and some others. And clean the online stores. So we could see maybe Alibaba or Jingdong or some others. and the clean apps. So we could see so many apps now expelled from the app store of the Apple. So we could see that. And the clean the cloud, we could see the US have the two leading biggest clouds, but the China's cloud is rising, especially Alibaba and even Huawei. And the clean the cables, how to clean the cables. So we could see that we are in very much in danger, in a new time. In the new time, we see the politicalization of the science and technology. So not just China and the US, but also we could see other countries will be involved in this conflict. So second, I would like to say something about the resilience made in China. We see China is rising from the latecomer, became some of the companies, we see the leaders, but just a few of them became the leaders like Huawei. But the most of them still, we see at the most the second mover in the world market and even in the technology. So in my personal studies, I have the concept, it's called the secondary innovation. The rising of China is based on the secondary innovation, not the original or we see the first innovation. So we see that most of Chinese companies focusing on the linear learning and the linear applications, just learn how to adapting the introduced technology to the Chinese market or world market. But now we could see that as Huawei became the first mover with the 5G technologies and some other companies, like in Hangzhou, we see the Hikvision and also Alibaba. So we could see that they did a lot of not just the exploitative R&D, but now we're going to see more and more exploration R&D. So that's the new face of the Chinese economy and Chinese technology innovations. So just like this, we could see the Huawei also rising from the secondary innovation. Now they go beyond. At first, they were the followers in 2G's time and became the second mover and the first mover. Now, even at the cutting edge, we could see initiate. So we could see that the Chinese companies are rising based on their innovations, but not mostly based on the original innovation. Mostly they're based on the secondary innovation. So that's also the labor division in science technology worldwide. But now we could see that the things are changing dramatically. And as the original model, we could say Huawei, that's in the global value chain. They have the upstream. So mostly we see the companies in developed economies and also the downstreams. We could see the most of the application and worldwide, we could see that. And Huawei's business model, so especially we see that they based on such as very importantly, we see the high silicon. High silicon is the IC design company actually. So it depends much more on the upstream. We see the chip developer and chip maker and the IoT solutions. And now we see also in the downstream, we could see their customers and also most importantly, OEM from the TSMC, Taiwan, China, and also the technical supporter. We see the UK, we see the ARM. So now we could see under the pressure of the United States government, you see all those companies are asked to separate their supply relations with the high silicon, Huawei always say. So what could ARM do in the next phase? So that's in a very difficult time. But anyway, we could see the resilience of supply chain. So Huawei also prepared for this interruption. And Huawei's financial data shows that in this year, even after the COVID-19, the company is still keeping rising. Yeah, but how could the Huawei keep rising as former? We just very dubious. And look at the Huawei's sales structure in last year. So we could see that the looks good. The year-to-year increasing the sales revenue almost 20%. And mostly we could see that, we should say that comes from China, the mainland China. So we could say that the Huawei's market in America, last year, they increased 9.6, not bad. In the Europe, Middle East and Africa, just 0.7. So compare with the former, it's not so good at the stagnate. And also for the Asia Pacific revenue, that's the 13.9%. Yeah, but when we see the Huawei increased almost 20% of their revenue, so where comes their revenue? So we see mostly that's in China. So we see the over 500 billion yuan in Chinese market. So we could see that big Chinese market, the domestic market, provided the very important base for the resilience. But how it could provide the resilience for the technological innovation? That's the big question. So even now we see, okay, according to Huawei's first half financial report of this year, so we could see that it's still keeping rising, not bad, but they are facing more and more difficult time. So we look at this, not just the Huawei, for other Chinese companies, they are the main body of the technological innovation. How could they avail the global technology? So that's the big question right now. So look at the C919, the aero business in China. We see that's much more depend on the global suppliers, global collaborations. So how could China do it with the independently? The self-reliance, it's almost impossible right now. So we see very difficult time. We are hard time, not just for China, but also for our partners, suppliers worldwide. So we could say that there's the trend is that they enforce the domestic vertical integrating in China, in domestic market. So that's the serious problem. But even more, we could see the paradigm shifting of the whole economy and the technology. Look at this, the Industrial Revolution. Now we are facing the fourth Industrial Revolution. So that's the, we see the data economy is rising. So China is much more heading for the new era. So we see the fourth Industrial Revolution for digital time. And up to now, according to the Statistical Bureau in China, now we have almost more than 1/3 of the GDP, and now should be attributed to the data economy. So that's the big change also. So with the data economy, we could see that even more internet-based should be connected. That's the connected business. But if we see the decoupling of the global value chain, so how could the connectivity being sustained? That's big questions here.
May I ask you to go to conclusions then?
Okay, okay, yeah,
Xiaobo.
that's the last point. Yeah, now
Great.
last point. Yeah, so what's the potential collaboration between the China and the UK? That's the big questions. That's a report made by the BCG. So as I suggest my audience to go through the report. That's to describing the global value chain of the semiconductors. I We will not go through it. So I just go to the conclusions. Let's see. So what's the complementary advantages between China and the US, UK? So we see for the basic research, we see the universities are the main body. So there are a lot of collaborations between universities, China and the UK, but now we are also facing difficult time. So look at the Oxford, even they refused the investment from the Huawei and some other universities. Also, we look at this, we should say that. And for the applications, some more research institutions. Now we see how could they sustain their collaborations under the pressure from the politicians especially. And for the development, we see the firms' collaborations. So the supply chain, also we are facing challenge. The market is getting more and more political economy, not just the market economy. So we see the political economies. So we see the recently UK also have some signals, show some signals to see that. We are very worried about this. And finally, we should say the data economy. What's the rule, the legitimacy, the business models? Could we get the consent to those rules? But I see there are big questions here. Yeah. Okay, so finally we see we are facing the new normal. So originally we see the management mindset is establish a stable system to gain the high performance. But now we see not so much like this. So we should embracing the uncertainties. The uncertainties, not just the economy and technology, and even something we see the political things, the value systems. We have the book after 3 years review, now finally published as the management transformation of Huawei, just published by Cambridge University Press. So people have the interest could go through this book to look at how Huawei rising. That's not so much related with the political issues, but anyway, more and more people see Huawei as a political issue. So that's the big challenges.
Fantastic. So, thank you so much.
What's the new normal for us to think about this? So what's the wisdom of the politicians? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. This is a fascinating, fascinating landscape in terms of trade and decoupling of global value chain, but especially